And we talked about him before. Ray Janae Carter and Tory Lanez. To me, those three are really bodying this week for me on social media. Can someone explain to me what was the kerfuffle this week with Ari Lennox and Snoop Dogg? Because I must have missed something. I must have missed something while I was all dialed into Tekashi 6ix9ine getting released from jail. Like, what? Okay. So Tekashi 6ix9ine was released from jail earlier this week after a judge in his case approved his requests for compassionate release in regards to the coronavirus. According to court docs obtained by the Shade Room, Mr. Hernandez does not pose a danger to the community, prompting an order for his release, but if he's not necessarily a free man. Tekashi will serve the first 4 months of supervised release on house arrest, and he'll be forced to wear an ankle monitor at an address approved by his probation officer. So I guess that's where he's at with that. Really weird. Just to dial back to what I was just talking about in terms of just kind of maybe focusing on shit that like you shouldn't focus on right now. So I think for me, like, just to acknowledge that you attract people and situations into your life. I think solely based on energetically where you're at, right? The last time that I had energetically, I think, called this situation and person to me was probably the last time that I felt like I was really in crisis, And so I think one of the things that I'm trying to do right now is to really dial into, a false sense of independence, codependence that I might have with myself. The reason why I carry certain energies to me and certain people to me at a particular time. Like, I know that the reason why I'm energetically dialing into this person right now is because I feel like I energetically want to be carried. There's a codependence that I'm dialing into right now. And I'm just being real with myself. So, I mean, I really challenge you, as I'm challenging myself, to just acknowledge the energetic shift that is necessary right now. I was this week, I was looking at a post or some back and forth post between Eva and Nene Leakes. And I really love actually both of those women. I'm looking at posts going back and forth between them, and it's like, I challenge you to a no makeup challenge. I challenge you to a body challenge. I'm making up a song about you. And although it's providing a lot of fun and games and fun, for Twitter FOD banter, I almost think of it like the verses that are happening between DJs and producers and writers and stuff. Like, if it is fun banter where you guys are just kind of going back and forth for the shit of it on social media because of the time, I appreciate it. But I think that if there's energetically a feeling of like mean-spiritedness behind it right now, I'm just not into it. And I don't know, like I was kind of looking at that and thinking to myself, like, you know, what's wild is that we are in the middle of an unforeseen pandemic globally. And we can still find it within us to be mean-spirited. Like people are like, healthy people are dying, babies are dying, dogs are like, you know, things are happening. And we can still find it within us to dig deep enough to be nasty or to be selfish or to just energetically still be reckless. And I minister to you because I minister to myself. You know, like anything that I'm saying to you right now in this podcast, I'm also saying to myself. Like, I've definitely been out and have gone out for shit that probably wasn't essential, you know, in terms of like just kind of thinking about other people and saving other people's lives. And all that is required of us is to just chill at home. You know, so even that, I've been like, all right, you need to kind of check yourself on that. You know, you need to kind of maybe relook at some things and maybe perhaps create a sense of more moderation so that your frequency to have to go out to get more of things can kind of dial down a bit, you know? Rest in peace to Bill Withers. Lean on me. Yeah. Bill Withers passed away. And so did the father of Wynton Marsalis. I believe his dad's name was Ellis Marsalis. Listen, don't quote me on that because, you know, what the fuck? What do I know? But, you know, let's take a quick break and then let's come back and let's set the table, man. All right, we'll be right back. And we are back and we're black and we ain't going nowhere. All right. So every week we set the table for different mindful practices and consciousness and development and just accountability, responsibility, whatever, you know, and a lot of times it's from my perspective. Sometimes it's like super general, but I just kind of want to dial you into what it is before I just kind of whisk off into it. You know, one of the craziest, one of the things that I have been doing, which I guess I don't necessarily know. I try to get outside for at least an hour of exercise, 45 minutes to an hour of exercise, at least 3 to 4 times a week right now. And it just so happens that the way it's been looking here in New York is one day it's sunny, the next day it's rainy. So it's just been providing me an alternative schedule. And so during that time, I'm listening to music, but I'm also probably, I'm a terrain runner. I like to run outside, not just because it is great for your lungs and for your immune system, but also because being outside in that way allows me the luxury of just observing, just looking at things and just looking at, trees and the animals and the different species of insects and blah, da, 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 and just everything. It just gives me a chance to just, one of my favorite things to do is to run by the water in New Rochelle, which at the onslaught of this virus was kind of the epicenter of the development of the virus in New York City. But at any rate, there's a couple of different little spin-off islands off of New Rochelle, which lead into the Long Island Sound, if I'm not mistaken, right? And so this area called Glen Island is one of those places, and there's just like beautiful water over there and just a great trail and an open park. So I like going over there. I like running, whatever. And right now it's closed to being a COVID tested site. So you can't go over there. So anyways, I started running in the neighborhood south of where that is. And it's still an affluent neighborhood. Very affluent, actually. And so I park my car and I run, and, you know, I went to school, elementary and junior high school in in an adjacent neighborhood. So I know it very well enough that like I can, you know, run and run through the neighborhood and not get lost and, you know, whatever. I get it. So at any rate, I am running through the neighborhood and I'm realizing like, wow, the air feels really great right now. Like the air feels amazing. And I'm just kind of not really like, I don't even know as I'm being conscious of it, like, am I really taking it in, or am I just like kind of like, oh, the air feels great, whatever. I think I was more thinking of it from an unconscious place because I was really into the music. So I'm one of these people that loves to sit in my car, right? So I sit in my car a lot. Even when, because it's never truly been about for me, whether I've lived alone or I've lived with other people. I lived alone and still would like sit in my car and talk on the phone. Like, you know, when you driving and then you finally hit home and you sit in the car and you talk on the phone and you bust it up for a little bit. Cause you know, once you go inside, like, bitch, you're going to start getting emoji responses. Like, I'm done. You know, that's normally how I do. I'm not a big person who loves to talk on the phone. Like, I'm more of a texter, maybe. But at any rate, so I'm just like sitting in my car the other day and, you know, I do my best smoking and my best thinking and my best note taking in the car. So I am in the car, chilling by myself, smoking one, blowing one up, and I'm parked in the driveway of my house. And so the houses are no more than maybe 10 feet apart in terms of driveway. So you'll have a house and then you'll have about 10 feet of space, and then the next, or I'm saying 10 feet, it's probably more than that. And then you'll have the next house. So if I'm parked in the driveway, I can see my neighbor's gate. So I'm looking and I'm just noticing like there are some really like crazy species of birds like just popping up. Now I'm from New York City. The most that I will get is like a pigeon. You know, she's really popular up here. She's like the wider demographic. You might see like an exotic pigeon blends, bitch, you know. But most of these birds normally look like hood birds. They're not specifically gorgeous. They are, you know, and no shade, no tea to them. You know, sorry to that man. But I'm just saying. You know, the squirrels, sometimes you be seeing black squirrels. You're like, how the fuck do a black squirrel? Like, how far down the gene pool is a black squirrel? You see these other squirrels, like the squirrels in my neighborhood are really, they have been known to be the types of like squirrels that like, they not scared. So you walking up close to them like, get the